Hello. Wonder who is watching.
No, they're not. Shut up. Just put water in it. Idiot.
We're live. There's one viewer. I think it's probably Josie. Are you gonna get the girls? don't know if anyone can hear me. Whoever is watching, type a question, and then I'll start channeling Seth. Otherwise, I'll just wait a few minutes. And let me know if you can hear me, hopefully. The sound is up. Okay, it looks like we have a couple new people, so hopefully some questions. Okay, so for some reason I can't see what's written on my phone, but
For some reason,
I signed on to
can't see
Rockies to
what's
cheat.
written on
So, Josie, you want to know about the guy in February. So, TJ was right. There is someone you'll meet. You'll meet him at that thingy. Here, okay, Seth's like, give me this info, but I'll just let Seth come through and then he'll tell you. Okay, just give me a second. Hello, Josie. It is nice to be on public. So, this man, yes, TJ was correct. You will meet a man, an attractive man to you. someone you've never met before in February. So focus on the qualities that you want, and he will manifest. You will meet him at that wellness fair you're going to be presenting at. Randy and Rocky will come watch you like you watched them at their first one. But they will not be participating. They'll be on to other things by then. But he will approach you and your table and likely want a reading, which will be very exciting. So it will be fun. Don't worry. He will be there. Yes, you have to wait until February, but it gives you time to clear things for now. Any other questions? I can see there are 4 of you watching. There has to be other questions. If not, Josie, go ahead, keep asking. You have the floor. Without getting distracted by non-physical, I am guessing. By acknowledging, I know you're there, but also saying, I know you're there, I will get to you later. I will get to you when I have time. Right now I have things to do. Right now I'm here to be here. Right now I'm trying to visit with friends, family. Not now. Go away for now. I will get to you later. It's okay to be non-physical and to meditate and to go into deprivation, sensory tanks and all that stuff because it's fun, it's exciting, you're connecting to source, but you're here to be here, so keep that in mind. And if you find yourself off in your head and off talking to spirits more than you want to, that's enough for now. Let me be physical while I'm here. I will get to you later. By not thinking of your funds as lacking. Instead of seeing like negative $3,000, see plus $30,000. Print off a bank statement with your information on it. Maybe, blank out some personal stuff. And then white out whatever the account balance is and write in, I don't know, $30,000, $300,000, whatever number is big but is realistic to you. And look at it often. And when you think of your bank account, think of it as overflowing with money and play the money game. Go out and window shop. I could buy that, I could buy that, I could buy that, I want to buy that, I'm going to buy that, that's going to be mine. And by doing this, you get yourself into a mode of, I have lots of money, I can buy what I want, rather than, I don't have any money, I can't buy what I want. So, focus on abundance, not lack. Self-love. you can't get a lover if you don't love yourself, because what is there for a lover to love? So, self-love comes with being happy. You always want to be high on the emotional guidance scale. You want to be at the level of bliss, euphoria, sublime, gratitude. That is where you manifest what you desire. And so once you're up there, it's hard not to love yourself because you're so happy. You have confidence, you're radiating with happiness, and that's what you'll attract from your partner, your friends, your kids. You'll only have interactions with them when they're at their best if you're at your best. You can't have a negative interaction with someone if you're at a high vibration. So, self-love ties in with your vibrational alignment and what you're attracting. So once you have really good self-love, you can attract a lover of the same vibration. If you do not have self-love and you have attracted someone, well, they're probably vibrating at a low level like you are, and you'll either have to raise together or maybe part ways, raise your own level, and find someone new who matches. Depends how stubborn. So, you come here to learn certain qualities. Let's say there's 1,000 in total. And each life you pick at least one to work on, maybe 2 or 3. But let's say you didn't do a very good job at one thing, but you did 2 others pretty well. Well, maybe you come back and you redo that 3rd aspect you failed at. Or perhaps you totally missed the ball and you didn't learn anything and you just had a really low negative experience. So you have to come back and do it again. So you'll repeat lives in different ways until you learn that skill or trait. So if there's 1,000, it could take somebody 4,000 attempts until they get there. And once you get there, once you've achieved everything that each person needs to, it's like you graduate to a new level, a new plane. So you'll go from Earth to a different plane. So it really depends on the soul, but many, many, many hundreds of lives. Yes. There's... Yes. Do they have questions? Josie's asked all the questions so far. There's other viewers I can see, but they're not asking. So if they have questions.
You guys questions for Seth? Yeah.
This is tell future. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay, how many spirits are around me? Usually you have 2 around you, but in this moment there's 3. One's that baby that's waiting to come, and then the other 2 are the 2 who are usually around you. One's like a maternal grandmother, great-grandmother type, And the other one is younger. It's like a young male, like a younger brother, younger cousin from a past life. They're usually around you. But this baby's been hanging around trying to like propel you into getting to the mode of welcoming it. You will have Betty's on. You'll have a new relationship with that guy you meet in February, and you'll be handing out business cards and pursuing that non-physical career. And you may be looking towards this baby who wants to come through, but I wouldn't rush it. You've still got a couple years, at least 5, where that's possible. Okay. Do you have a question?
I have many questions.
What are those things?
What's that?
What are those red dots?
Yes, Rocky already started dictating. Well, I was dictating to Rocky. Rocky was writing, but he's slow, so he's going to try typing a book, and it'll be done within a month, and then published pretty quickly after that.
I suppose a question that would be on a lot of people's minds is how can you move faster in any subject? Like, what's the best way to move forward faster? Say whether it be money, whether it be relationships, or health. What's the best thing they can do right now to move faster?
That would be writing. So, first is asking, then is wanting, and then it's waiting to receive. But if you write about it, you're focused. And then the asking becomes more specific. So you move yourself into more of the allowing place. And by staying happy, you manifest. You can't be in a negative mode to manifest. So continuing to be happy, writing about it, knowing that it's going to be yours, you're going to have it in your hand, you're going to have it in your possession, and then just waiting. It's just a waiting game. So then letting the universe take care of it and just almost forgetting about it so that you're easy about it and you just allow.
Okay, very good. Did you want me to keep asking questions?
Yes, I think Josie has run out.
Okay. What about for focusing for people? Like, should they focus on past events, future events coming? or focus in the now. Like, what's the best place to put your focus on a subject?
You don't want to be in the past. Everybody always wants to know about people who've transitioned and gone on, but that's not important. You want to be about right now, but also what's coming ahead. So what are you trying to achieve next? And you don't have to set goals. People don't like the term goals, but set your intentions. So the night before you go to bed, write 5 things that you want to happen the next day. I want to have a really good cup of coffee. I want to run into an old friend. I want to have a good conversation with a coworker. I want to have an easy commute to work, and I want to make somebody smile. And then, because you're intending that before you go to sleep, during all that hours of the night is being put into the works, and then the next day there's energy and momentum behind it, so then it's going to come to be.
Okay. I'm going to be all over the place with the questions. Hopefully you don't mind. Where do dreams fall into place? Like, I had a dream last night that woke me up in the middle of the night. Dreamt about somebody that I hadn't thought of in years and years, and probably at least 10 years. Like, I haven't really thought about them, and then had a really vivid dream about them. I guess what did that dream mean? Like, what was this the point of that dream? What was the message I was supposed to get out of that dream?
You don't have to be afraid of children when they're crying.
Yeah, but it was a ghost child.
That was your interpretation of it.
Okay.
Dreams are like a playland, but they have purpose. They are real. They go on to be a reality of their own until they dissipate when all the energy is withdrawn. But when you need to work on something and work out a problem overnight, you can in a dream. You ask to see the solution and to remember it. So it doesn't matter who was in the dream. It was just random people. But you kind of picked up on eerie situations, which you're really in tune with anyways. So it was just showing you that you're still aware of what's going on around you. But also the whole baby thing. Don't be scared of picking up a crying kid.
Right.
For your future.
Okay.
Yeah. Josie says, how can someone tell if they have cords from other people? Ask your guides. So just sit still in a quiet room and ask. And if you feel kind of a tug and a name pop into your head, or you feel the impulse to write down a name, well then maybe you do. But you can sever that. You can, if you don't want connections with other people, you can ask your guides to clear it away. Because you're the one in control, you're in power, nobody can dominate you if you don't let them. You just release it. I don't need this. Let me be. I'm more powerful. I choose to let it go.
That's actually been a really big tool that I've used actually quite a bit, is getting my guides to step in on it, or you're not really getting what you want. I've done that on many occasions where I get my guides to step in and intervene. Whether it's seeing people you don't want to see, or especially at night, a lot of things go bump in the night, and people usually start hearing things, and And
Turn
it's
on the lights.
well, it's kind of fun where you can just get your guides, ask your guides to come in and clear it away. Because I mean, most people that'll be watching this will be more in tune, and might even already be doing that. And I found that as a really good tool to use on a daily basis.
Yes. Don't be afraid to ask. And don't be embarrassed to sleep with a light on, because it's in the dark that you let your mind wander. But you don't need to do that.
So how, just to clarify on that, if you're saying somebody should turn their light on if they are have fear of the dark, or being alone in a dark room, or going to bed alone, I guess, in a dark room, what would you give them to? I mean, that's a good start, is to turn on the light, but I mean, eventually they might want to be comfortable in their own skin, be comfortable in their own room, in a dark room, and not have it bother them. What would you? What kind of information could you give them?
There's different things people do. Some people imagine a glowing white light around them. Some people imagine a tent around them or a bubble. So lay in bed with the light on and envision whatever it is that you feel protected in, like a cocoon or a tent or whatever, and just feel the energy kind of pulsing and moving around you. And first do yourself, then do the room, then do everyone else in the house, then do the whole house, then start doing the neighborhood, then start doing different family in different cities, and keep expanding. Do your whole island, your whole province, country, your continent, and keep going until you've got the whole globe glowing in this orb. And then you'll just feel it. You'll feel more at ease. And after you do that, then shut the light off, and you'll find you have a restful sleep. So, Josie says, how should someone protect their personal space? If you're talking about your physical self, then see like a bubble around you where it propels outwards so that people can't physically approach closer than you're comfortable with. And intend to only meet those who are for your greatest good. I intend to only meet positive, happy people today. For your space, well, some people like to burn sage, you can, but do the bubble thing, the glowing white, blue, positive energy radiating around your whole home. And it never ends. It's just when you do it each night, you're reinforcing it to yourself, you're putting more energy towards it, so just kind of like bless your home, and that will help create it feel safe. Now, Tina says, do you know the name of my guide or guides? Usually names don't matter. It's more of a physical thing that people have imposed and put on because they think it's important and necessary, and because they like, when they're talking, to have a name to refer to so that others know what they're talking about. So, one of your guides, you have 4 generally, but 3 extra ones tend to pop in. So of the 4, one of them is a male presence, and his name is Joshua. He's someone who is a very close friend from a past life. Perhaps you know a Joshua in this life, but it is not to do with them. It's from a past life. You were really close. And he likes to watch over you and step in if you need someone to shoo rascals away. Now, what if you feel lightheaded? How does someone know if they need to be grounded or if it's a health issue? Look at what's going on in your life, because anything health related stems from stress that's manifested in a physical way. So if you have someone hanging around you who's not a great influence and you find you become stressed and you're feeling sick after hanging around them, well, cut them out. If it's to do with a certain food that you've been eating and it's starting to make you feel sick, well, it's not necessarily the food, it's just manifested in the food. What has changed around you? What's your attitude? Where have you been going? Who have you been talking with? But most of the time you don't need doctors. An Advil will be a quick cure for headache, yes, but do you want a quick fix or do you want a complete cure? You need to figure out what's behind the cause of wanting this Advil. So, if you continue to have lightheadedness over and over and over, it might be good to go see a doctor just to get it started in fixing it, but if it's just once in a while, it's likely just something that's going on that's manifested in this way that you can clear up on your own. Because there never used to be doctors, so people had to figure it out before. And one day, there won't really be doctors anymore. It'll be kind of a thing of the past.
Questions? What kind of information would you give children for manifesting things that they want? Whether I know a big thing nowadays is kids want phones, kids want iPads, they want all the latest gadgets and stuff like that. What kind of information, Seth, would you give kids that are looking to manifest things that their parents might not necessarily deem necessary for them?
Because they can't pay for them?
Well, that tends to be a big thing. I mean, you go with a lot of the major name products, and they do get up there in cost, especially new ones. And
Cell phone plans.
yeah, and then there's obviously a plan afterwards and all
Get
that
a job.
That's your answer for the kids, is to get a job?
Make a vision board and see it in your hand. What does it feel like? How does it feel to have this phone? What am I doing with this phone? When do I use the phone? Am I allowed to have it at school? Am I allowed to have it at home? Do I have to do chores before I can use it? When can I use it? Do I take pictures with it? Do I make phone calls? Do I play on the internet? And then the how is not important because the how will fall into place later. But by having a job in place already, well, now you've got a source of income. Maybe you save Christmas money, birthday money, and maybe you don't have a plan. Maybe you have minutes so that you can pay as you go. When you have the funds, you can pay for it. Oh, look, now it's financially possible. So put it on a vision board and see it in your hand and get into the feeling mode of how does it feel to have this. So how can you tell that you're on the right path? Easy. You always make such a big deal. Am I happy? Do I feel good? If those things are not there for you, you're probably straight a bit. So get happy and feel good, and once you're feeling good, you'll start going towards the path that you're intending to go to. Your higher self will help guide you, and if it feels really bad to be at a certain workplace every day, and you just dread going to work every day, quit. You don't need it. And then go into a new career, but still reflect on the aspects of that past career that you enjoyed. Otherwise, you'll just attract another job that you don't like. So maybe you liked one coworker and several customers and answering the phones. Think only about that so that you're thinking positively about that past experience, and then move on to a new position. If you're on the right path, you feel good. It feels easy. It feels like the next logical step. It's not a struggle. It's easy. You run into the right people who help you move forward.
Just to clarify on what you were just saying about quitting your job. I mean, that sounds pretty good when you're if you're financially set up and you don't have to worry about money coming in. But for somebody that's going
No, you don't. You
paycheck
don't
to
have
paycheck,
to. You don't have to quit a job without having another job first.
right?
But if you can quit your job, quit, go on EI, whatever. But if you need a new job lined up, well then you're automatically going to feel better about going to work knowing that, well, now this is temporary, it's not permanent. So start looking for the job you want, start interviewing. Don't tell anyone you're doing it because they'll just fire you. Just keep moving forward with it and you'll automatically feel better because you'll know that you're going towards something new.
Okay. So I take it that goes to obviously doing some writing on the subject. Instead of looking at what is, start writing about
What do you want from a new career?
Yes.
And what aspects of this current career do you like and want in a new career? Do you want a job where you type on a computer, where you have an office, where you work outdoors, benefits, hourly wage? Do you work downtown? Do you work in the suburbs? Do you work with kids? Do you work alone? Are you supervised? Figure all that out so that the jobs can start presenting themselves to you that fall in line with what you want.
Very good. What kind of information could you give somebody trying to get into the metaphysical field, like as a career, like as opposed to working 8 to 5, a regular job? What kind of information would you give people that are looking to get away from doing that sort of job as or career and go to work for themselves and doing it without the big gap? Like, I mean, there are a lot of people out there that just the way the economy is and everything else, or and their mindsets and all that stuff, that they're working paycheck to paycheck, and but have been obviously listening to the law of attraction, and maybe they've seen The Secret, and read some of the old Seth material or Esther's material, Esther Hicks, and maybe they want to move forward on a different career path and in the metaphysical community. What would you give them to? What kind of information could you give them to move forward in that faster?
See it as being successful. If it feels like the next logical step, go with it, but keep your job for now, just as a financial comfort, and maybe do this part-time. Do what Randy and Rocky did. Go to a wellness and psychic fair. Test it out. What's your response like? Did you enjoy it? Did it feel good? If it doesn't feel like a career, it feels more like a hobby, well then maybe you pursue it in a different way. Maybe you start a blog, you do YouTube videos, where maybe you don't make money off of it, but you do it enough that it's enjoyable and that you still enjoy going to work while having this on the side. But if you like it and it goes well and people are interested and they want to pay for sessions with you and whatever, well then sign up for another fair and get yourself known in social media, go online, do writing, market yourself, and then sign up for another fair and another one and keep going. Register a business name, make a website, get a business email, keep going and going until there's so much energy and momentum behind it that it has to start being, financially successful and to the point where you can quit your job if you want to, but test it out first to make sure it's what you want to do.
Okay, good.
Can you ask your guides to show you signs for questions that you're wanting to know? Do you have to ask for specifics? Or just general things such as feathers and dimes or songs? You can ask your guides for whatever you want. You can ask your guides to have a thunderstorm to give you a yes answer. You can douse. You can use metal rods or twigs, or even just your hands or your body, and ask, show me what a yes answer is, show me what a no answer is, and then ask your questions. Lean me left if it's a yes, lean me right if it's a no. Just stand there. Randy tried this when they were looking for deer one time. Said, pull me in the direction of the closest deer, and she closed her eyes, and then all of a sudden she goes this way. She feels her legs start moving to the left. But be specific in the questions, because the closest deer could be 5 kilometers away and you're on foot. So that's one way to do it. If you like dimes and feathers, we'll ask for more and more. If you want them to nod your head yes or no, ask for a yes or a no. And if you don't want like a little one, ask for a really obvious one to you. And ask to draw it. Start drawing on a page. Ask to write about it. Ask to see it in a dream. Ask to have a vision of it as you close your eyes. You can ask for whatever kind of sign you want, and they'll deliver as long as you're allowing. Will you teach channeling down the road? Not likely, but we will continue to give advice on how to do it. Not specifically. Did write a book with Jane about how to channel. It was pretty, and your psychic abilities and harnessing them, but it was pretty cheesy. So you can refer to that old material. But she relied heavily on the Ouija board, which most people don't need today. So channeling, it really comes from when you meditate and when you're allowing and you're asking for communication from non-physical. So not everyone can do it, not everybody wants to do it, everyone's curious about it, but in the next 30-40 years it'll become more and more popular. It'll be kind of like second nature for most people. But for now, meditate and ask for someone from non-physical to come through and to give you a message, and for it to be easy, and for it to make sense to you, and for it to just flow. And as you lay there, you might feel someone, come into your body and start to speak through your mouth or try and write something. April Crawford would write letters from people who had passed on. Some people like to speak it and record it. Some people just have the words pop into their head and they have like a conversation in their mind. So there's different ways for it to come through. It just depends on what you're willing to allow. Josie, you can do this. You already do this a lot of the time, but kids are pretty good at it if they're encouraged. So they can do it fairly easily. Try automatic writing. It's like a stepping stone towards it. And then you will get more comfortable with it. It'll be easier, and then it won't seem such a foreign idea to you. Will my friend Betty find her engagement ring? One day. Probably before her wedding in a few years. Yes, you were right about where it was. It is on the East Coast somewhere. If she goes and visits and helps clean up the house, she will be rewarded. Because Matthew will not replace it. Not even if he won the lottery. Just to punish her. But then she could just buy her own. But if she keeps asking for it, if she asks to see it in a dream, the place will present itself to her, because she gets all sorts of information coming to her. Lots of it she doesn't share because it's just for her, but this is something that she can ask to have revealed to her.
Okay. the questions still rolling in or no? Stop for a minute. Okay. What? I'm assuming most of the people that are watching this are already familiar with channeling and all that stuff, and obviously probably want to move forward in their abilities. And you did mention to intend getting messages from people. Wouldn't you want to? Would you want to be more specific? Like I know a big thing with a lot of people is they're scared to let demons in or
Well, if
negative
that's where your
energies.
mind is.
Yes, but for somebody that does
So
have
you
that on
can
their mind.
intend to have a specific person come through. If you want to channel Abraham,
Yeah.
ask for Abraham to come through. If you want, Veronica. If you want Seth, might come through. Veronica might come through if you're asking strong enough. If you want a past loved one or a celebrity or whoever, everybody's equal playing field. Nobody is more challenging to get to come through. Everybody is the same. It just depends if they hear you. People who have recently transitioned typically can't do it unless they're a really, really old soul and they're a professional at this. But if your grandma just died, don't try and talk to her 2 days later because she's not going to know how to communicate. But if you want just a positive, comforting personality to come through, just intend for that. Intend the best experience with it so that you want to continue again. You don't have to block out demons or anything or any of that. You just have to intend for what you want.
Okay.
Is coffee good for you? Everything anyone has ever written about coffee is bullshit. Coffee, sugar, carrots, they are all equally good for you. And equally bad for you, depending on your view of food. Somebody decided that vegetables were vegetables. Somebody decided that vegetables were healthy, that they had vitamins, that they discovered these vitamins. Somebody decided that sugar is no good for you, yet everybody has to have sugar or they die. How does that make sense? So, medical researchers, we're not buying your bullshit anymore. All food is good for you. Water is good for you. Everything is good for you. It just depends on your view on it. So if you look at this cup of coffee and you think, this is so bad for me, but I want to drink it anyways, well, you just screwed yourself. But if you look at this cup of coffee and think, how could something that tastes so good possibly be bad for me? If it tastes this good, it makes me feel this good, it has to be good for me. Then it's going to be good for you. It's your view on the food. There's people who eat pizza for every meal for a month, and they're totally fine. They gain no weight. There's people who eat as healthy as they can, and they gain 10 pounds. And it's mind-boggling. So, it's just your view on food. And it's you seeing it as nourishment, you thanking it for tasting so good. You telling your cells, this is good for us, I love this, let's have more of this. And then your cells follow suit. It's just your beliefs.
Okay. That was good. What about for a physical ailment, whether it be you severed your finger off or you've got a cut? What is involved in the healing process? If something physically damages your body, or whether it be a car crash or even just road rash or anything like that, what would be the best way to speed up the healing process? But obviously, does your body need a certain amount of time to recover, or can you just miraculously? You hear about people that are take quantum leaps and they
The Miracle Man?
Yes, there's all sorts of stuff like that, and it's is that going to be the norm one day?
Yes.
But for
when people talk about phantom symptoms and phantom limbs and you've lost half your leg in a car crash and then you feel tingling, it's not the limb, like you thinking the limb is there and it being an absence of it. It's your body trying to repair itself. So if the doctors close it up right away, well, you have to do that so it doesn't get infected. But you can't see it as an end, as a sever. You have to see it as it's shut to heal. But the skin and the bones will grow and morph as they heal. So, and people have done it before, especially people on, islands remotely where they haven't been influenced by human idiocracy. You can regrow a thumb, you can regrow a leg, you can regrow 2 legs, you can regrow your arm. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the same amount of energy put towards it. It doesn't matter the size of it. So, if you want to regrow something, maybe a tooth, maybe you've lost a tooth and you want to regrow it because you don't want to buy a fake one. You have to imagine your teeth as all there. You can't imagine all your teeth minus one. All of your teeth. And if you look at your leg as being missing, that's not going to work. Wear a fake leg. Wear pants. Envision your leg being there. What does it feel like to have this leg? What can you do with this leg? Won't it be nice when my leg heals? Won't it be nice when my leg regrows? There'll be so many cool things for me to do. But some people come here for the experience, like Bethany Hamilton, for the experience of losing a limb. Because she wanted to challenge herself not only to be a pro surfer, but to be a pro surfer who had a physical disability. So she had the accident where the shark took her arm. She had to relearn how to surf, and not only relearn how to surf, but how to be one of the best. And she continues to win competitions because she knows she can. So she came for that specific experience. Some people come for the experience of being paralyzed, which is fine, but that won't be what people are looking for in the future. If they do that, they'll continue to do it in past years. But you can regrow anything. People regrow toenails all the time when they fall off when they run marathons. So why can't you regrow a whole toe? You can. So, does aromatherapy do anything? If you believe in it, it does. If you believe in anything, it has positive or negative effects on you. In some sense, the majority of people find soothing. They find lavender puts them to sleep. Ginger makes them stop having nausea. Florally things make them feel at ease or energized. It's just your belief behind it. Lots of people like aromatherapy. People have humidifiers and diffusers and wear jewelry that has oils in it. And if you like it, do it. Because anything that you like will be beneficial to you, for you. Is there really people that do psychic stuff for the government? Yes. The White House had a psychic for one of the presidents, and he would not go anywhere unless this psychic had read about it and blessed the event they were going to. It's not talked about as much, but yes. But that'll be... We see like Tyler, the medium in LA. All the celebrities go to him. Well, maybe Michelle Obama's interested in him. Hillary Clinton. They're the Bushes. They all can see his gift and that he's able to actually connect with people. Teresa Capoto, maybe people want to talk with her. So, especially after she was on Dr. Oz, or the doctors, because they showed her brain before channeling, and they showed her brain during and after. And there was a significant difference that happened that none of them could explain. But these doctors who believe in medical, aspects, knew that something was happening. They just couldn't explain it. So they all took her for legitimate. And people will stop needing this, scientific proof, and they'll start accepting things based on evidence rather than being able to test it. Will I read for the president one day or the Dalai Lama? Are you willing to travel? Not likely the Dalai Lama. Depends which president. If it's Trump, no. If it's Clinton, possible. If it's Trudeau, he's going to be very interested in meeting Randy and Rocky, especially because he bumped into them, and he'll think that he bumped into them, but he won't know for sure. And they're going to snub him like he snubbed them for kicks. But then maybe they'll meet with him, bring you along. You can read Trump Jr. Not Trump Jr., Trudeau Jr.
I guess with what you did talk about with the limbs and stuff, sort of going back a few questions, that was a really big thing when I was working in Papua New Guinea, was I'd worked with guys that had cut, because they always living in the bush, they were bush people.
They're not influenced.
Yeah, that's it. And that was the big thing when I worked there for them 5 years, was the stories that they would tell me, and guys would tell me they cut off this limb, or they cut this, or they got into a bush, they had a confrontation, and arm was just about severed, and it would grow back together, and a lot of times there wouldn't be that much scarring either. So it was kind of cool.
They don't know what scars are.
Yeah.
So scars, again, are a made-up thing that humans wanted for some reason to, prove, look what happened to me. Right. So that when they told the story, it was believable.
Right.
But you don't need scars.
But, I mean, they're different for everybody, too. Some people will heal right over.
Yeah.
And then there's others that'll have a big old gash there, too.
Or it'll take a lot longer for the healing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You hear about that all the time.
It's the belief in how long.
Yeah.
And where they are vibrationally.
Right. Do we still got time for another question or so?
Yes.
Okay.
Are some people alien or angels? No aliens. You might see an alien from another plane. Most do. But there aren't any, living amongst us. Angels, not quite. There's some people who sole purpose when they came here was to help guide others, so they're seen as angelic. But everyone is a spiritual being who's taken form in a physical body, and they're here to have the physical experience. So you might get contact from an angel, or see an angel from another plane, or a unicorn or Pegasus or a leprechaun or whatever. You'll see all sorts of things from other planes, but they don't live amongst you hidden. They just cross over on planes and you end up contacting each other.
I've got a question for you, Seth. It goes back, you've answered it for myself and stuff. This goes back a little while. One of our sessions that we had a while back was we talked about you and your teachings, and because we were talking about time and how time worked, and time's a made up thing, and this plane that we're on, people look at it like right now we're in 2016, and I asked you what was a date that was way far ahead of this time in space right now that you were still teaching on this earth, and you came up with a number. I can't even remember the exact number. I think it was 498,000, and it was change as well. It was maybe 115 or something like that. You gave me was a number that you gave me into the future where you're teaching, and then on a couple of occasions we dove back into it, and we talked about a couple of things, and we talked about how healings advanced so much. Like we talked about that there were more healers instead of hospitals up there, and the law enforcement was more robotic, and that's something that was really, really cool. Are you going to touch on that in your book that you're writing?
Not this book, but in the other book.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sure that's something that people would be really interested in, and just how people look at this time and space, and they think that they look at the here and now, and you could only look so many years ahead or so many years behind, and most people to look
Or
100,
limit themselves.
yeah, to look 500,000 years
They think the Earth will be dead by then.
in advance. They just can't see it. You know, it's not something that they would have ever thought about. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know that was a really cool concept for myself.
And they think that life on Earth will eventually end and we'll all be on Mars, or it will just end and we'll all be in heaven and there won't be an Earth anymore and people will go to another planet. But Earth will always be here as long as people are wanting to come for the physical experience. There are other planes where there are other planets that are similar to Earth, but certain aspects are different. But there's certain characteristics you learn here on Earth the best. If you tried to learn it on another planet, you might have to do it 3 or 4 times for it to really stick. But you could learn it here on Earth in one life.
I guess my question, well, I didn't really have a question there, but my question, the whole purpose of talking about that future event, I guess you can call it, is are there stuff that information that you can give us now that might be going on in the future, I guess, like in 30,000 years from now, that would benefit the people right now?
Manners do not exist. People don't get offended.
Right.
People just talk how they talk.
Okay.
Thoughts just come out. It's like the invention of lying. You just say what's on your mind. And no one gets mad. And it was no manners. And there's like no hospitals. There's no need for. I mean, there'll still be accidents. People will still, cut themselves and stuff. But you can almost self-heal. You just ask the wound to heal.
Right.
Why go to the hospital when you can just heal yourself? There's no such thing as insurance, a backup plan, plan B. You don't need any of that.
Right.
You just manifest what you want. And
just to jump in on that, I know one of the better things that I got was an affirmation you gave me that was sort of a regular thought process for future mankind was I want to resemble my best physical self, and I've never heard that said before like that.
yeah,
And it's I always thought that was a just fantastic affirmation, and I just haven't heard that said that way before. So it was that was really good. And there was another question, but it sort of...
the other thing is that people won't hold grudges. They won't take things so seriously. They won't get offended, so that you can move on. What's the point in being angry at a daughter-in-law for the point of not seeing your grandkids for 2-3 years? What's the point in being pissed off at your neighbor and not talking to them for a month?
Okay.
Who gains anything from it? So there won't be a such thing as grudges. That will be a thing of the past.
Okay. So, and that was a big thing that we talked about was more... The people of Earth were a lot more in tune because the new babies coming into this Earth were being shown a different sort of... You didn't really forget what you came here for. Is sort of what
Your
what
purpose is kind of known to you as you grow up. Your guides let you know so that you can keep working towards it. And there isn't this like negative, incorrect human influence. It's just what is.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's 5 after 8. There's no more questions.
Okay.
And so we will resume next week. Wednesday at either 9 or 10 a.m. Haven't decided yet. Have to check the time difference for everyone in Europe. But we will do this every week until we start charging. So,
Okay. Thank you, Seth.
good questions, Josie. Good question, Tina. And I will see you next week.
Okay. Thank you, Seth.
Goodbye.